Hey, what's up YouTube? My name's DBZK I'm back with a different kind of video today. I'm here with my friend. He could introduce himself.
Okay, well, I am the Rambling Otaku.
Yeah,
I have a YouTube channel where I rant about random shit.
yeah, so there will be a link to his channel in the description for this video. We just kind of wanted to do something different. We're just going to talk about what we've been watching the past couple months. The world's kind of in a crazy place right now, so perfect time to just catch up on our backlogs and stuff.
So
Uh,
that's what I've been doing.
I'm finally like watching stuff that I've been wanting to watch for years. Do you want to start with something you've been watching?
Sure. I'll just start in with probably the most, I don't know if it's shocking, but stupid, which is Ikitosen. Do you know Ikitosen, Craig?
Yeah, it's like the early 2000s like etchy, like extreme etchy show, right? And there's like fighting.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of like all it is. And the reason why I'm watching it is because I don't know about you, but I've had this show stuck in my head for like ever since I was an anime fan in middle school because you'd always see it everywhere. And despite it being seen everywhere, everybody seemed to hate the show and say it was absolute garbage.
Yeah, I remember it was on Netflix like for a while, so I would just see it there, but I never actually checked it out.
Yeah, so I'm only halfway through the first season, but it is. I'll have a hot take on my channel later, but I'm gonna say it's actually good. And when I say it's good, it matters what you mean by good, but you're only watching Kikitosen for two reasons, which is like sex and violence, and it is very good at having lots of sex and violence. So therefore, it's good in my head.
So it's like actually good, or it's kind of like this is stupid, but it's doing what it's supposed to do.
I would say it's more the second, but that being said, I don't think it's as bad in the regards people say it is. Like, so it's basically a retelling of the Three Kingdoms, where all the characters are in a school, and then and then when they fight in the schools, if you're a female character, your clothes fall off. It's that simple. It's kind of all over the place. The characters don't really have a lot of depth, but it's like rather well directed because it's done by the guy who made Boogie Pop. Also,
Oh,
right?
interesting.
So it's like pretty good in that regard. The actual writing itself is like not why you're watching it, but the characters are fun. The fights are entertaining. It's just like for what it's trying to be, I would say it's better than people say. If people give it like twos out of 10, I think that's mean.
Hmm.
But there's not a lot of meat there. So
It definitely sounds interesting. I mean, it's famous for a reason, you know.
it's probably be worth an episode or two just for the history. And then if you're me, you can watch the rest of it, even though it's not very good or worth it.
Nice.
That's kind of all I have to say probably about Akitosen. There's not much there.
I guess similarly, like I watched something that wasn't really good, but I really enjoyed. I just finished Wizard Barristers, it was from 2014. It was this weird show about wizard lawyers that were also wizards, and it was also like really horny for some reason.
Was.
It was ridiculous. Like it was an action show and a courtroom drama. And for some reason, some of the wizards could make giant mechs. It really didn't make sense, but it was uh,
Wow.
it was
How did I
enjoyable.
forget about it?
It's like the first episode, like it's like, oh, I see, this is like a lawyer wizard show, and then it just keeps getting more and more absurd. I mean, I would recommend it, but also it's like it's dumb. It's very dumb.
Is it like a samurai? I mean, have you seen Samurai Flamenco? Is it like that type of thing?
I haven't seen it, but I know of it. I don't know because I haven't watched it. Like I've heard it doesn't take itself very seriously. The problem with this show is it takes itself extremely seriously.
Oh, okay. That's a big difference there.
But like because it takes itself so seriously, like it's so just silly and over the top that it's kind of funny. So like when it's bad, it's still kind of enjoyable.
It's interesting. I've seen nobody talk about that show in like 6 years, so the fact that you say that has me kind of interested to maybe try it out.
Yeah, I remember a long time ago I was watching a YouTube video and one YouTuber like made one offhand comment about it and I cannot remember who said it or in what video and it just kind of stuck in my mind and I'm like, all right, I'll try it out, and then I'm like, oh, this is great.
It's just surprised. That happens a lot with anime. I find I'm always surprised when stuff is like completely ignored, but it's like I don't know, pretty functional in some way at least.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much out there, and like, there a lot of big YouTubers and stuff only talk about stuff with mass appeal, or so it stuff just gets lost.
Yeah, basically, it just has to because there's too much being made.
Yeah, definitely too much being made. So anything else you've been watching that you want to talk about?
Okay, I guess I'll go with the Hitamari sketch, which is probably the thing I've been watching the most of now. Do you know Hitamari sketch?
Yeah, it's the Shaft comedy, right?
Yeah, the probably the I will immediately say the probably the show you should never ever watch, Craig. It's
Really?
like the penultimate like moe slice of life with like zero conflict at all. Well, no, there's conflict, but it's like episodic conflict and it's all very light. So I am a big fan of like moe slice of life shows, but I think Hitamari's sketch is particularly one of the best I've ever watched, and I feel like it's pretty obvious to guess why, which is it's made by Shaft and directed by Shimbo. So, I mean, it has like all. It's pretty funny. The characters are likable. It's just about these four girls that live in an apartment complex and go to an art school, and that's really all it is. But what makes it unique is just like how not even just out there the Shaft direction is, but it's just so creative with like how it represents mood and atmosphere. Like I've noticed based on what time of the year the it is in the show, like how they direct it is so different, and the mood of it changes so much. I don't think I've seen any other like slice of life. Well, it's up there, I would say, with like some of the slice of life shows like Aria, which just have like really dense atmosphere, so it's like worth watching just for that.
Yeah, I mean the fact that Shimbo directed it definitely makes me want to consider it more than like other moe slice of life shows. But yeah, it's still just not always my thing.
Yeah, ultimately, I'm sure you would not like it, but because it is ultimately like a lot of like every episode, just like listening to long conversations they have about what they eat for dinner and that kind of stuff, and maybe there's some jokes speckled in. So I feel like that's boring for some people, but the characters are charming. Also, it's just like some of the direction is just like really magic. Like there was like a dream episode, and the way they showed the main character, her dream going through like I can't even like describe it. It was just this otherworldly Shaft, like almost Madoka Labyrinth-esque thing for this Moe Slice of Life show, and it was just weird and interesting.
Definitely sounds interesting. I might check it out eventually. It's
Yeah,
just
maybe give it like an episode or two. You'll get the taste.
right. So I guess one show we both have watched kind of recently is Doro Hedoro. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah.
Finally came on Netflix like last week, so I checked it out, and I think we both really enjoy it, right?
I mean, I love Doro Hedoro. I have been reading the manga before. I didn't even actually finish the anime. I've only seen half of it, but I read pretty far into the manga.
Yeah, I haven't gone past the anime just because I don't know. I just don't read manga, but I think it's a very interesting series. It really feels like nothing else that's come out in a while. When's the manga actually from? When did it start?
Oh, that's a good question. So I actually don't know at all. I think it like I'm gonna guess 2008. I'm on my anime list. I'll just look it up.
Because to me it feels like a weird like thing that could only exist in the 90s, but also not the 90s. So
It's 2000,
2000,
so
interesting,
close to the 90s.
interesting. It's got such a cool like dark feel and atmosphere that I feel like was very reminiscent of 90s cyberpunk, and I really just wish we got that more often now, and we just kind of don't.
Yeah, so I think what I've noticed is, well, we actually still do have some stuff like that, but it's almost all in manga, and they don't adapt that much of it. So that's kind of why Doro Hedoro is a blessing that it actually got made into an anime, and a good one at that. Like, literally remember reading it and I was talking to my sister about it, and I was like, this is unadaptable. There's no way they'll ever make an anime of this. And they proved me wrong, and I'm shocked.
I kind of love that, like when they actually make unadaptable things into good anime. I think it's so rare, but like this is definitely an example. um I feel like Inuyashiki, a lot of people didn't think they could make into an anime, and I think it came out fine.
Oh, really? Yeah, I never even read that or watched it. So.
Yeah, it was from the creator of Gantz. It was about just there was like really intricate cyborg illustrations, and they kind of translated to animation fine enough.
Didn't they do that in CG? Is that how? But like it looked good.
Yes, which is kind of what this show does.
it's cool because it's on Netflix too, and it's quite popular. Like I was surprised. Like my sister and her boyfriend are watching it, and I was like, wow, those people don't even watch. Like I don't. I guess the fact that it's on anime, it's on Netflix is giving a lot of people that don't normally watch stuff like that a chance to watch it, and that's cool.
Yeah, I find that Netflix, like, if there's stuff that's really obscure and nobody talks about it when it's airing, but if it's on Netflix, like, people that aren't super into anime will watch it just because it's there. So, like,
Yeah,
there's some people I remember in high school that I would talk about that, like, didn't know super much about anime, but, like, they'd seen some obscure stuff that was Netflix exclusive. So, I always thought that was kind of an interesting dynamic and kind of an interesting type of anime fan.
yeah, I've always appreciated that about Netflix.
Yeah, like it stinks that they never simulcast stuff, but I think that the anime they actually choose to put on there is definitely interesting.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, and I guess just a side thought about Dorohedoro because I've been thinking this, and Dorohedoro is also interesting to me because I think it's like one of the only franchises, not franchise, one of the only series I've ever seen that has basically like no sense of like character development or theme, and usually that's a bad thing, but I don't think it really matters in Dorohedoro.
Yeah, I feel like character development, I don't know, I feel like
There is like character development, but there's like not much of a focus on it.
it seems to be focusing more on fleshing out and like backstories than actually having the characters change, which
Yeah,
yeah,
I guess kind of like JoJo's usually like that, I guess.
yeah, that definitely sounds more like a JoJo kind of thing. But yeah, there's like no themes, but like it doesn't matter because it's so story driven and just kind of atmospheric driven that it's enjoyable.
Yeah, exactly. It was just a weird thing for me because I noticed it. I'm like, wow, usually something has some sort of theme, but not Dorohedoro, and it's better for it probably.
I think that's kind of like the whole point is like it's chaotic and confusing and like you don't really have time to think about deep ideas. It's more just like stuff is happening and that's it.
Exactly. It's in the moment, in the present.
Yeah, good stuff. I guess we another thing we've both have seen. I just finally watched all of Yu Yu Hakusho, which is awesome. Probably in my top 15 anime of all time now. I think if the last two arcs were as consistently good as the first two, I probably would have given it like a 10 out of 10. Probably would be in my top 10. It's just kind of I don't know. Chapter Black I thought was a little weak, and the ending was a little weird, but I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I love Yu Yu Hakusho too. It's interesting because you have the perspective of just seeing it, and for me, it was like a middle school show, and I haven't really finished it since. But I still think back to it. And I'm like, yep, that's the best shonen I've seen. It's up there.
It's just
Certainly in the top three.
it's just so good. Like I mean, it's iconic, but I feel like a lot of people don't actually talk about it anymore because it's old. you know.
Yeah. Also, it's like compared to a lot of other stuff that has stuff to talk about. Yu Yu Hakusho is kind of like there's not much to talk about in Yu Yu Hakusho in terms of like story because a lot of it's like just explained. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, which like I kind of like a lot of shonen seem to like get a lot of hype based on like theory crafting and like who would win in a fight and stuff, whereas Yu Yu Hakusho doesn't really have that.
Yeah. It's more like yeah. Now I think of, I never even thought about that. Even if you watched it back in the day, there's probably not much theory crafting you could have done because it's pretty like I don't know straightforward in that regard.
Yeah, it's extremely straightforward and like there really is never any mystery because it keeps certain things vague enough and explains everything else.
Yeah, you're right. That's interesting. I mean, and it works for the benefit of it because it's not really about that. It's more about the characters and the fights.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the peak two things of a shonen. And it does those to the extreme.
Yeah, I think the problem is a lot of people just compare it to Hunter x Hunter, and like I do myself, you know, because they're both from Togashi, and Hunter x Hunter is still pretty relevant since the manga technically is still running.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like that's certainly true. It's funny for me because people always do that. I remember watching Hunter x Hunter excited because I really like Yu Yu Hakusho. And not that I don't like Hunter x Hunter, but I'm of the opinion that Yu Yu Hakusho is like way more interesting for me than Hunter x Hunter.
I love both, obviously, but I think Hunter x Hunter I like a little bit more just because I think the plot is a little tighter in some parts. However, I think Yu Yu Hakusho excels much more in the central cast. I think the art style is more interesting, and like the what's it called? The Dark Tournament is like the greatest arc out of either show, I think.
That's fair. But I will say, of course, I have to have the. Dark Tournament's great, but I always like Chapter Black. I would have to rewatch it to really see, but I don't know. I just always loved how weird it was. I'll always remember the idea of that one kid that got scarred by seeing a book with all of the worst of humanity in it. Is that correct? Right?
Yeah. That's the Chapter Black is like the VHS, and then Sensui watches it, and then he.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still remember that. It's been so many years. I remember nothing else, and just the fact that that stuck with me, I'm just like, that's cool. Not a lot of shows can do that.
Yeah, like it was definitely an interesting idea, and I think that was one of the stronger parts of the arc. I just think that it falls a little flat in the pacing, and also that's when Shinbo left the show, so a lot of the directing isn't as interesting.
Yeah, you're definitely right there. I don't think I noticed it when I watched when I was younger, but I know like it's considered one of the most well animated and directed shonen up to like basically the end of the Dark Tournament.
Yeah, because then Shimbo leaves, and it's just kind of very flat, except for the one fight in the hospital, which was awesome, because Shinbo directed it.
I explained that.
But yeah, watch Yu Hakusho if you haven't. I mean, it's awesome. It's classic 90s. Also, like, the character designs, like, the clothing they all wear is so, like, very 90s, and it's awesome.
Keep talking for 1 second. I need to go grab a charger. It'll be like 4 seconds.
All right, I'm going to talk more about Yu Yu Hakusho. Hiei is great. He's got the coolest attacks. I mean, the dragon, what's it called? The Dragon of the Darkness Flame. That stuff, that's wild. He just destroys everything. Kurama's underrated. I'm just putting that out there. He has an interesting story. It's interesting that he cares so much about his human family. He's got a great design. His Yoko Kurama form is awesome. Like, he's just wild. And then Yusuke is just great. And Kuwabara is great. There's no unlikable characters in Yu Yu Hakusho. It's just everyone is great and fleshed out and has interesting powers. And it's straightforward and awesome. And Toguro is...
Wait.
What?
Baby. You like the baby?
I like Koenma.
I fucking hate Koenma. I want him to die the entire time.
No, Koenma's cool.
I did not like him.
I like that they redesigned him for the later arcs, like when he becomes, I think it was very welcomed redesign.
That's true. I don't know, I guess I don't like children.
Yo, Toguro, though, he is like the most menacing anime villain in existence. Like, his aura is just scary.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that was definitely one of, like, the feel, like, one of, like, it had that Dragon Ball Z villain type of feel of, like, how are they going to even possibly beat him? He's so powerful and menacing.
Yeah,
Classic 90s, but kind of to the extreme.
Yeah, there definitely are parallels I see with this show and Dragon Ball. Like, I'd say aesthetically sometimes, and just the feel and the worry.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of better Dragon Ball in a sense at times, just due to the really, really great character writing. I assume you watched the dub, right?
I did, yeah, of course.
Okay, yeah, I love the dub. I watch it too.
Yeah, it was
It's surprising.
very good dub. Watch the dub. And then I guess in a change of pace, something else we've both seen, I think I've seen more of, is Black Clover. I was at like episode like 60 for a while, and then I like caught up to it in like 2 weeks. And now I'm caught up with the manga, and it's pretty wild.
Yeah, I wish I knew what was happening now, because I've read up to I guess about the end of the arc with the elves. I didn't finish it, and that's where I am.
So you're like nearly caught up, because like the manga since then has kind of, I don't know, it's been like one arc. Like, there really hasn't been too much going on, but it also feels like it could end at any time, and I'm kind of surprised it didn't end after the elves stuff. But Black Clover is fun.
I was convinced it was gonna end. I was like super shocked.
I think it should have ended, or at least after the arc they're in now, it should end, because like there's no indication of where they're going and how things could get wackier.
That's true. It'd be kind of wild. I mean, I feel like it has to. It'd be wild though, because then Demon Slayer would end, Black Clover would end, and we'd be left with just My Hero.
Yeah. Oh, Promised Neverland is ending too.
Yeah, true. Everything's ending.
Yeah.
Two girlfriends ending. It's totally a Shonen Jump thing.
We got, oh, Dr. Stone is still going.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, that one, I'm like nowhere near caught up, but I feel like that one's gonna go for a while.
You're probably right. I haven't seen one episode, so I guess I should
Really?
start that one.
It's,
Yeah,
it's fun.
I'm sure it is. It's just I always kind of like everyone told me it was more about science than the characters, so I kind of ignored it. But I hear it's good, so
It,
let's try.
it definitely has that problem where there's like episodes where all they do is talk about science and it's kind of uninteresting, but after that, it gets better.
Yeah, I'll just give it a try eventually. Now that I have nothing better to do.
Yeah, exactly. But, wait, so what do you think of Black Clover?
Um, it's like it's hard for me to talk about. So the thing about Black Clover is I feel like it's one of the most consistently good shonen I've ever read. But at the same time, it just almost never hits the peaks other shonen hit, and I think that's why it's kind of like regarded as a lesser. But I feel like what makes it so impressive is the fact that I can't think of like barely any shonen that are as consistently like satisfying and fun to watch as Black Clover.
Yeah, that's definitely a good way to put it. Like it's just very it's just nonstop consistently entertaining. I think the biggest problem is that early on the character writing is just so uninteresting and annoying that it's kind of hard to keep going with it, and then once you get past that and like the plot actually kicks in, you can kind of ignore it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I remember, I think it was Giga that did a video about it, and basically what he said is that it's less about the individual characters and more of them as a cast. And I would say I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
It has a really good ensemble cast, even like the individual characters are kind of a bit simplistic, and the writing can be kind of tropey.
Yeah, it's just like all of the Black Bulls, they say one thing episode after episode, and it's not funny and just frankly kind of annoying, but there is definitely a good dynamic there, and when they are all together, it's entertaining.
Yeah, even just like even still, like even since a lot of them only have like as you said one trait, there'll probably be at least one or two or three that you really like that one trait. Like Charmy, I stand Charmy.
Yeah,
It's the
Charmy's
funniest
cool.
character alive.
Well, did you see when Charmy, like,
Like
spoilery,
Super Saiyan 3.
yeah, she goes sicko mode and like she,
Yeah, that was pretty great.
oh, you're half dwarf. You have super magic. It's like, okay.
It's very much so. You're the type of person that's I feel like bothered by what's the phrase? People call it ass pulls, I guess.
I with Black Clover, everything is an ass pull.
Yeah,
Like,
I find it hard to get bothered. That's like the entire show, but
yeah.
I don't care.
Exactly. It's like, all right, cool. This is fine. Like they introduced Henry. They're like, yeah, this kid's just been living in the Black Clover, Black Bull hangout the whole time. Like, all right, cool. I'm with
Yeah,
it.
that was hilarious.
I love what's his name, Zora. I love he was great. I'm glad they added him in.
Who's he?
The redhead.
Oh god, that doesn't help. I read the manga.
The guy from the tournament arc that joined the Black Bulls.
Oh yeah. I liked him.
Yeah, he's like the only character with like good motivation that like actually feels like a real character.
Yeah, he
Like,
felt like well, he's one of the more like I guess not morally gray. He certainly is morally gray though.
yeah, well, like, yeah, because he beat the shit out of that one guy, and then it turns out that guy was an asshole.
Yeah, he kind of reminded me of like it's weird. I don't know why I think that my brain keeps thinking he's a My Hero character, and I don't know why.
I could see that. I guess.
I don't know. Maybe it's his design, but for some reason I thought of his design in my head. I'm like, oh, My Hero. I'm like, what?
I could
Doesn't
see
matter.
that.
That's a tangent right there.
Yeah, well, you're caught up with the My Hero manga, right?
Yep.
Me too.
It's
Did you?
great.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think that after this arc, they're probably gonna end the first year of school.
So you mean the arc in the anime or the manga?
The manga,
yeah,
the
you read
manga.
it too. I fucking forgot for a second.
Yeah,
Oh my God, 'cause
yeah.
I was talking to someone who only watches it. Yeah, I think you're right. I still hold there might be the time skip.
I
I
mean,
don't
maybe
think so.
I think if there's a time skip, like it will be like their summer break or something. But I don't unless like the whole school is just destroyed or something, because that who knows where this arc is going.
I could definitely, yeah. It's hard to tell. It's just like I'm just happy my hero is like interesting again. Because I got some friends gave me all this My Hero stuff for my birthday, and I was like, if I don't like My Hero, I'm gonna be very sad. So I'm glad I still like My Hero, so I can wear my Bakugo shirt with pride.
Yeah. Yeah, it really has its up and downs. I don't think it ever is bad. It's just kind of stagnant.
I would disagree. I think when My Hero is bad, like for instance, oh yeah, the arc right after the anime ends, which is like
Um, which arc was
oh,
that?
the one after Gentle. What? It was like the one where they were going on the fights. Was it like a test with the other students?
Oh, I loved that arc
I thought it was one of the most painful things I've ever had to
with
read.
class 1A versus 1B.
Yeah, I hated it.
Nah, I loved it because I for a while all I wanted to see was like 1B actually do something, and then we got to see all their powers and stuff.
I really never liked the class battles. I found I don't think My Hero is that great at fights, but I found particularly those fights always the least interesting, and the character work. It was a lot of characters I didn't care too much about in the first place.
Well, like
So it was just just boring. I didn't really care about anything that happened.
I liked it because I feel like for a while My Hero was doing like these tournament arcs, but not actually fleshing out all the fights, and they glossed over so many. And I was glad to see them actually take time to do every fight and give them all justice. So I had
That's
fun with
fair.
it. I think the ending of the arc sucked.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, that's true too. Yeah.
with yeah,
Now I'm more okay with it. I guess I won't spoil it.
yeah, definitely don't want to spoil that, but that was dumb.
Yeah. At this point, I'm just kind of like, well, whatever. I'll just accept it.
Yeah, and like I'm curious where they'll go with it in the story, but yeah, I mean, this current arc is just wild. Like, who knows what's gonna happen?
I'm just so glad they developed the villains because I'm not a villains person generally, but I was like watching some of the stuff happening. I'm like, I want the villains to win. I care more about them than I do the heroes.
Yeah,
And I was
definitely.
like, wow, I'm impressed that they did this because I mean, they're kind of murderous assholes.
Yeah, it was definitely nice to see them get like an arc to be fleshed out and stuff. You know, really.
Um,
Yeah.
I, stuff.
I will say, I think my least favorite part of My Hero is probably like the gentle arc.
I thought it was so that one I liked a bit more because I thought some of the slice of life stuff was charming, and I liked the idea of Gentle as a villain. But
Yeah.
in execution, it was a bit like, it was okay. It kind of felt like filler.
Well, like I think watching it in the anime was fun because I think the live performance kind of to see it with music and animation, I feel like really makes it come alive. And I think like the voice acting and like just the sound and everything for Gentle definitely made him more enjoyable. But I remember reading it and I was just very uninterested.
So I only read it, so I wouldn't know. But I did like reading it too. I saw the performance. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I kind of wish they did even more with it, but I thought it was a fun time.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I guess anything else you've been watching? I think that's really it for me.
Um, well, in terms of stuff I'm deep into now, I guess the only things I've left are the seasonal stuff, which is
Oh,
Fruit
right.
Basket is still going on, which I know you a while ago saw the original series.
Yeah, I saw the original about at this point it was yeah, about a year ago. I think it was or it was a little over a year ago. It was like March of 2019 or 20 when did it come out? When 2019?
It was 2019. I
Yeah.
forget when.
So
I
I
think you
saw it.
literally. I think you actually watched the original right when the new one was coming out, which I know you said you wanted to compare, but
Yeah, that's what I did. That is what I watched it like the winter of 2019 and then the new one came out in spring and I've just still been kind of burnt out on it and don't really have a desire to rewatch some of the same stuff.
that's fair. I feel like it's kind of a bit sad that you did watch it because I don't know. In my opinion, like the original Fruit Basket is just it's shit. I really do not like it because
I yeah.
because the thing. Okay, let me explain why. Because I read the manga. And it's like that thing of like that nerd thing where you don't like when the material is changed, but they got a comedy director for Fruit Basket when it's way more of like a very like character driven like complex drama,
Right.
and it goes so deep into that mid 2000s comedy, and it pains me. Like
Yeah,
nothing hits. Nothing
it
hits.
it really needed like the brotherhood treatment.
Yeah, which it did, and now I think it's just like amazing. Like especially because the manga doesn't look so great, like drawn art wise. So now it just looks really good. Like it's just perfectly adapted. I don't know. So when you get the chance, you definitely should watch the new one because I think it's like one of the best like character dramas ever made.
I yeah. Sorry,
But just
no,
like
yeah.
it gets, I feel like the things that you probably don't realize how like deep it gets because the joke thing people say, which is stupid as heck, but I'll say it anyways. They call it Evangelion for girls, which
Oh
is like
gee,
absolutely stupid.
that is
Right?
very stupid.
But on one level, I understand where it comes from because it actually has some similar as character writing at points, which I feel like is really shocking for people that I don't know haven't gone that deep into it.
I mean, I'll definitely check it out eventually, probably after season two ends. Especially right now because like the dub is kind of on hiatus and very slow, and it has like a very iconic 2000s dub cast. So I kind of want to keep going with the dub. But yeah, I'll probably check it out eventually.
Make sure to eventually, because don't let it get forgotten. It's worth it, I swear.
No, it's definitely on my list. Definitely higher priority. One weird thing I'm doing right now, like my kind of summer project, is I want to watch like everything from 2014. And I don't really know why. I think it's just because 2014 was like, I think, the best year for anime in the 2010s. And I feel like there's a lot that got overlooked, and I want to just kind of watch everything.
It's an interesting idea. If you get
Like,
around, even if you don't, I assume you're not finishing. You're just trying out everything from 2014.
I mean, I'm gonna go into everything either with the mindset of I will finish this, or if it's really bad after the first episode, like I will drop it immediately. Like if it's like a dumb harem or school action
Those are
nonsense
all the
stuff.
best. You should make a video on that then. That sounds interesting.
I
That's a fun idea.
definitely, yeah, I will. That's like the plan eventually. Like after I watched enough, but like that's why I watched Wizard Barristers. I tried. I'm doing like a randomizer to decide what I watch because I feel like that's the most fair, and it's gonna force me to actually watch the stuff I don't want to watch. So like I watched Dragon R Academy, and that sucked. And then I watched one episode of that and dropped it because it was a school harem, whatever. And then I watched two episodes of Trinity Seven, and that was awful and incoherent.
So I was on my anime list and I saw like your updates. I was like, why the hell are you watching these? I guess now I know why.
Yeah, yeah. So I hope that it exposes me to a lot of really weird stuff. You know, why not?
I think I might have half already done that because at that time in my anime watching phase, I actually tried to watch at least the first episode of every seasonal show.
Yeah,
So interesting.
that was me in like 2015 and 2016. I'm like, I have to watch everything, and now I'm like, all right, I know what I cannot watch.
And then I learned, oh, there's no reason to do this because most are not worth it.
Exactly. And like even if there are things that like somewhat piqued my interest, like by the time I actually like think of going back to them, I don't remember anything.
And I have so many shows, like, I watched 4 episodes of from, like, a season, like, not season, like, a couple of years ago. Don't remember.
I,
Can't pick
I
them up now.
I watched 11 out of 12 episodes of Izetta the Last Witch, and it's still on hold for me, and I'm like, I will watch the last one eventually, even though
I'm
I don't
surprised you
remember
did that.
anything.
That's a classic me thing to do.
It's like I'm torn, like I don't really remember anything, but I don't want to have it dropped because I watched almost all of it.
I mean, it's not even worth to rewatch it, though, because did you like that show? I watched 1 episode, I was like, nope. I know a lot of people didn't really care for it.
I thought it was the opposite. I remember when it came, I enjoyed it. It was fine, whatever. But I remember a lot of people like really liked it for some reason.
Oh, I think it's just where you were, because I think, like, the general anime community was, like, really into it, but I think maybe, like, the more, I don't know, Annie Twitter, so anime Twitter, where I get all my anime news, I guess, people were kind of shitting on it.
Oh, I remember like on Ancast, I was like listening to their video from fall of 2016, and this is like recently, and they were saying that Izetta was like one of the most requested to do reviews on, and they thought the first episode was like really strong, and they talked about it for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
I very specifically remember them saying I don't know if it was them, but I remember just seeing like very quickly. They're like, "Oh, this looks good," and then it dropped off like very quickly. Like, "Oh no, it didn't deliver."
It definitely did drop off very quickly. I remember like the first episode or two, people were like, "Yeah, this is great," and then it just died.
Yeah, that's. I think I didn't even like the first episode, so I guess it's good I didn't watch more.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
Rip.
It was like I gave it I think a 7 on Mal, but now I'd probably say like a 6 because I just do not remember anything. But like I remember enjoying it.
I guess that's good. Better to remember enjoying than not liking something.
Yeah. I guess I think that's really everything we've been watching. Unless you want to talk about Glipnir.
Well, now that you mentioned, I have to because I love Gleipnir. The darling in the Franks I always wanted. That's
Yeah.
probably why I love it so much. That and it's also just like, I mean, I know you haven't seen that many episodes, but the more I watch, the more I realize it's just like really solidly, like it's solidly directed, has really great designs, and it kind of has that feeling of like one of those crappy like death game shows.
Oh, I love those.
Right? But the thing about that one is it has the crappy death game show aesthetic, but they're like, what if we actually made like interesting and had the characters be like a level above in terms of like how complex they are and the relationships and have themes. And it just sounds kind of simple, but it's just the fact that it does these basic things that other death game shows don't do. It really elevates it where it's like just really fun and like engaging, and I really like the characters.
Yeah, I've seen the first 3 episodes and it's caught my interest. I think the fight choreography in episode 2 was awesome.
Yeah.
Very weighty, very interesting, dynamic camera. It's yeah, I really haven't had a desire to watch more, but like I do love dumb death game shows, so maybe it'll be a guilty pleasure of mine. But like I love like Future Diary, Batum, even Darwin's Game, which just came out. Like I just love turning my brain off and just watching madness.
I can see that. I feel like you could definitely do that with Gleipnir, but the reason I like it so much is I think there's meat to it. I think it's like it's trying to say something about these two characters, their relationship, which is what I want out of Darling in the Franks, because it's the same thing. They have like this toxic relationship, and I thought Franks was gonna address it, but it said no, the relationship is healthy, and I'm like 90% sure Franks is like basically just doing. I mean, I can't even speak. That Gleipnir is basically just doing what Franks is, but actually having like social commentary on it.
Interesting.
So, that makes me. It's not exactly the same stuff, but just like in terms of like what is very obviously the relationship between the two characters in Franks and Gleipnir, and how they basically push their meaning onto the other person. That's kind of like interesting to me, and it's definitely saying something with it. So might say something stupid, I don't know, but I'm interested.
Unlike Frank's.
Yeah, Franks. I'm gonna forever be mad about Franks because it's like, man, you don't get a lot of really well animated mecha shows.
Yeah, that's true.
And then it just became kind of like stupid.
Yeah, I never finished it. It just I didn't even like it from the beginning, and then it just everyone was saying how dumb it got. So
Even the like, yeah, it was just kind of just like a sad decline. Where it went from just like being kind of like a dumb mecha that was like lots of fun to just like continually angering me and like mildly offending me. Which is rare. I don't really get offended by shows. With Franks, it really felt insulting to me. I was like, damn.
gotta love it.
Yep.
All right, I guess that's really what we've been watching past couple months. Unless there's anything I'm forgetting. Yeah.
Here's the meat of what I've been watching. I think that's all about it. Everything else is probably like an episode, and I dropped it.
Yeah, same.
We're talking about.
Word. Well, this was fun. We're definitely gonna do this soon because there's nothing else to do. Next time we'll probably be on Rambling Otaku's channel. I will make sure to link his channel in the description. Thanks, guys, for listening. I guess, yeah, there's not going to be anything to watch. This is really just a podcast-style video. So thanks for listening. Do you want to say goodbye?
Yep, I guess. Peace out, everybody.
All right, take care. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to both of us, and stay tuned.